All right, we're going to call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We'll now move into a roll call and conflict of interest check. Trustee Nolte.
Here and none.
Trustee Abbott.
Here and none.
Treasurer Metz.
None.
Clerk Stambuelis is absent with prior notice. She is has been in a ton of pain. She was in the office today and is having some really, really awful pain. So she won't be with us this evening. Trustee Sanders.
Here and none.
And Trustee Sickinga.
Present and no conflict of interest.
All right. And Supervisor Scott here and no conflict of interest. We'll now move into approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? This is the new version of the agenda that should be on your on the desk. We did have a couple of last minute items. Jeez. So I'll give everyone just a second to make sure.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
All right, we have a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move in.
Wait. I have a question.
Yep.
There's a new version of the minutes in front of us.
Oh, yeah.
Which I haven't had a chance to review, and the minutes are on the consent, approval of the minutes is in the consent calendar. And since I don't know what the difference is between this and what was in the package, I wonder if we should just delay, like move this approval of the June 16th minutes to the August meeting.
I think if we want to remove it from the consent agenda, I can probably, I did the changes, so I can explain what those changes.
That sounds good. So then I'll ask to remove the minutes from the consent agenda onto the regular action items.
So we're already in a motion for approval, so we would need you to amend your own motion.
Okay.
To include the amended agenda for removing the minutes from the consent agenda.
Then I would ask that, I'm making my own friendly amendment, I guess, to propose that the approval of the minutes, approval of the agenda with approval of the minutes placed as an action item.
I'll second her amended.
I was coming to you next because you were already the second. Is there any objections to that amendment? Action item. It'll be action item.
It'd be action item A.
Action item A. And everything else will move down. Any objections? All right, so the motion now is to approve the agenda as amended. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. And we'll now move into our first call for public comment. Anyone who wishes to partake in public comment, just come on up to the microphone, make sure it's on for us. State your name and address, and remember that comments are limited to 3 minutes.
My name's Jennifer Lawrence. My address is 4411 Chad Court. I'm actually a Scioto Township resident, but I'm here tonight in a different capacity. I am running for Washtenaw County probate judge. So I wanted to come and meet my neighbors in Dexter Township and just kind of introduce myself to the Board of Trustees as well as everyone here. Tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Ann Arbor and born and raised in Ann Arbor, attended Ann Arbor Public Schools, and I've been working in the courts for about 20 years. I primarily work now in domestic work. I do probate litigation and domestic litigation, as well as mediations and alternative dispute resolution. I have a lot of training in working with survivors of domestic violence, as well as doing trauma-based interventions with children in custody matters. And I'm running for this seat because this is my home. This is where I grew up. This is where I'm raising my family. My kids actually, we live technically in the Dexter School District, but my kids do go to Ann Arbor Public Schools just because my husband and I both have our businesses in Ann Arbor. So we're in Dexter a lot in the community. We have a lot of friends in the community. And I just wanted to introduce myself and open up to any questions you may have about the judicial seat, what the seat entails, kind of what the judicial interventions would be for this seat, and happy to introduce myself and answer any questions.
Thank you. We actually don't do question and answer for our public comments. But
Sure, whether or not some of the other townships like to ask questions. The docket is mostly going to be a probate seats and guardianships, conservatorships, all the restraining orders for Washtenaw County, which would be things like personal protection orders between partners, as well as neighborhood disputes. I'm sure as a township, you probably have dealt with some of those issues, and as well as a third of all domestic cases in the county of Washtenaw. So since Dexter Township falls under the Washtenaw County umbrella, I just want to introduce myself and would love to connect with anybody if they have any other questions.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Any additional public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move on in our agenda to the consent agenda. I want to make sure I've got that there. All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved by trustee Sickinga. Is there a second? Seconded by treasurer Metz. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. And we'll now move into action items.
Do you want these?
Yes, we'll collect those back. I'm just gonna set them down the shelves after the meeting because I've got so many extra papers. Let's make sure we. Thank you. These were the closed session. All right, moving on to action items. Action item A is the minutes, approval of the minutes that we removed from the consent agenda from our regular meeting of June 16th, 2026. The updates that I made here were a couple of spelling changes. And I caught those and wanted to make sure that I brought forward just some the changes. The first trying to figure out which page. Page 2 of 7. There was a misspelling for Yusuf Rabi's name. It said Sheriff Alex Thomas instead of Alex Thomas of the Sheriff's Office. And Maria Ibarra Freire was, I don't know, the last name was completely made up. So I corrected those names.
Freyer isn't made up.
No. The original
Oh,
the
okay.
original draft was not I
Okay.
knew it was nothing near her real last name.
Right, now you got it right.
Yeah, now it's correct.
mhm.
And then the other was Ramiro's name again at the end on page 7.
And I thought that was funny because on page 2, it says trustee Sanders as.
Yes.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes. And so
It always happens.
Thanks.
Some people call him Romeo.
so those are the changes from the draft that was in the consent agenda.
I would actually like to request another minor change since it's not which is just to strike on page 4, the last sentence of the second paragraph. The board generally agreed with that caution. I just would like to strike that sentence. I didn't think that was what I thought the board was silent on that caution, but
Okay.
I didn't hear general agreement.
Where was it? Where was it?
The top of page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, first paragraph of page 4. Any additional updates to the minutes? All right. Is there a motion to approve the amended minutes?
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Metz, seconded by Sanders. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. We'll now move into acceptance of financial transactions. That's page 28 of your packet. Is there a motion to accept the financial transactions?
Second.
It's been moved by Metz, seconded by Abbott. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in
Well,
favor?
wait. You go too fast for me. I had just a couple notes.
Okay,
One was a question, I emailed you guys my questions earlier today, but I want to just say them for the record. We had a $7,000 payment to the MTA in the check dispersal, but on page 36 under memberships, there's a $12,000 budget line for memberships, and that expense wasn't booked to that line. And then that made me, which could be a timing issue, so it could be nothing, but I just wanted it to be noted. And then that raised the question for me of whether we're over budgeting for dues, because I think that the MTA is the only dues expense. So it's just to kind of raise that question in my mind. I also noted that the I forget what I was. Oh, I noted that the police revenue issue was corrected from last month, so I wanted to thank you for that. But also in that case, the revenue and the expense is getting booked to a different interest line. Then I noted that there were no expenses for single hauler, although we did do multiple mailings for single hauler. And then Lonnie emailed me to say, well, we put the single hauler mailings under printing and publication. So I thought that was interesting. And then the last thing is, you guys probably noticed, but the fund balances, the little summary sheet, the treasurer's report on the cash balances, and the year-end report balances they weren't consistent. They weren't totally aligned. And so I think we should just note that the fund balances summary report that shows up later with the 1.2 million available for strategic purposes is just a draft this month, and we'll figure out whether that's like an issue with running BSA or with the new BSNA, or if it's a year-end close issue or what, and then provide a draft, a new, a corrected version of the fund balances summary, and that amount that's available for strategic purposes. So I think that was everything that I noted.
and the just so that everyone is aware, the audit for last year happened today. So we should have better numbers for the closeout of the year. I'm hoping at our next meeting, but Raina was here today on site completing the audit. And just to we bill all of the any community engagement mailers come out of the printing and publishing line. When we did the budget, we set aside a specific line item that we called single hauler implementation. That was like an emergency fund that we had set aside in case we had implementation issues, cart pickup, those types of things that we needed. Luckily, implementation went really well, but that's why that doesn't show up in that line. Any of the mailers come out of printing and publishing.
But the fund balances are good news anyway. I mean, it's good news.
Yes, it's all good news.
It's all great news. It's just that the numbers didn't totally tick and tie. So
any additional discussion on the financial transactions? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. We'll now move into item C, which is resolution 26-710, imposing a moratorium on the issuance of permits, licenses, or approvals for power generation facilities. That's on page 43 of your packet. Is there a motion to approve resolution 26-710? It's a quiet bunch today. Oh.
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved by Treasurer Metz, seconded by Trustee Sanders. Starting off just with discussion, I know at the end of our last meeting, we had a brief discussion about what was happening in Lima Township. It's hard to believe that that was only a month ago, and that all of the work and activity that took place prevented Consumers Energy from moving forward with their plan to put a power generation facility in Lima Township. However, those activities made many of the surrounding communities realize some vulnerabilities in our ordinances. As you'll see in my report, we've been meeting regularly, just about every other week, with the leadership of the surrounding communities. There's a newly formed group with the supervisors and mayors of the surrounding Western Washtenaw governments. We're now calling ourselves the Western Washtenaw Council of Governments. I don't know why we had to have an official name, but we're turning it into something a little more formal. And so from that, we decided that we needed to also take action here to prevent any of those facilities. And as our Planning Commission and Master Plan Review Committee and others work on our ordinances, as we did with data centers, we wanted to issue a moratorium on these types of facilities until we can adequately study the issue and make sure our ordinances are adequate for the protection of the residents. So I'll pause there and can answer questions or any further discussion on the resolution.
I have some questions. First, in the memo from Carlisle Wortman, she says, if the board feels that utility scale non-renewable energy generation uses may be a possibility, does that mean that we have the authority to say that these are not a possibility?
Good evening. What Megan was trying to convey is that if this group has a concern that a non-renewable power plant could locate here in Dexter Township, we should absolutely look at adopting regulations. Like data centers, we can't explicitly prohibit a certain legal land use. However, we can regulate it. As of now, we do have regulations in place for large scale renewable energy facilities based on Public Act 233 approved by the state of Michigan, but nothing for non-renewable power plant facilities. Like Supervisor Scott was saying, it leaves the township vulnerable to a company like an energy company coming to Dexter Township and asking.
I had a couple of thoughts about the language of the resolution, or a couple of changes I'd like to make to it. But Fletcher, I would be curious to hear your, these are minor things, but I wondered because where on page 45, where it says, whereas the township finds that power generation facilities present a direct threat, if we should insert the word may present a direct threat, because I don't think we have findings yet. So we don't have findings yet. So let's just say that they may. And then I would also take out the negative impact on nearby property values, because we don't have findings yet. So I might just say an impact on nearby property values, which could be positive or negative. Um, and then later on page 46, I found the sequencing a little confusing. So we're including coal, natural gas, and petroleum. The moratorium will apply to coal, natural gas, petroleum, nuclear fission, and geothermal resources, but excludes solar and wind energy systems. And it's going to exclude, or is it including battery energy storage systems, biofuel-based generation, and accessory on-site and emergency power generators? I wasn't sure what
It excludes. And I know you're asking, Fletcher, this was actually drafted by the attorneys. This was
Okay.
drafted by Foster Swift.
Okay, so that second, so. Okay, so I'm used to thinking of geothermal resources as renewable, not as a so I think the sentence is trying to split the renewable and non-renewable, but I thought that geothermal was a
Renewable.
and that's where I got tripped up by the what's excluded and what's
I think
included.
the excluded are all the things that the state excluded in the Renewable Public Act that we've already acted on, and geothermal was not in that list.
Currently, the ordinance regulates wind energy, solar, and biofuel power generation facilities. Geothermal was left out along with any other fossil fuel generation facilities.
It's based on the state statute of how they defined renewable.
So the battery energy storage systems, which could also potentially be problematic, but we've already acted on that, so they're excluded from this. So
I believe that's the intent.
so the first half of the sentence it has nothing to do with how good they are or anything like that. It's just the first half, or whether it's fossil fuels or renewable or anything else. It's just these first half are the things that are covered by the ordinance because we've already acted on them, because we have not acted on them. The second half are where we've already acted.
That's my understanding. Do you?
Okay. And I think that was it for my question on that one.
Any
Thank you,
additional questions or comments? And so the only hesitation that I have at changing their language is that it was written by attorneys and they're not here for us to ask if the changing of the few words that you listed were.
Adding the word may and removing the negative, I think we can do that without the attorney. Because I actually think that reduces our legal jeopardy. I really think it's a small change and I don't think that the attorneys would object to it.
I would agree with that. I think that we need to be careful with the language we're using because words matter.
Because this is saying that we have a finding, but we don't have a finding. So I think it's. You could call that.
So it would be whereas the township finds that power generation facilities
May present a direct
may
threat.
present.
Yeah. Welfare due to air, water, noise pollution, and impact on nearby property values.
Okay. And those were the only two. All right. Additional discussion or questions? All right. Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. So the motion was to approve resolution 26-710 with amendments. Treasurer Metz, you were the sponsor. Are you okay with those amendments?
Yes.
And Trustee Sanders, you were the second. Are you okay with
Yes.
the amendments?
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll now move into a vote. Since it's a resolution, we'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Sickingett.
Yes.
Trustee Sanders.
Yes.
Treasurer Metz.
Yeah.
Trustee Abbott.
Yes.
Trustee Nolte.
Yes.
And Supervisor Scott, yes. The resolution is adopted. Now moving into resolution 26-711, that is page 48 of your packet. That is the extension of our data center moratorium. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 26-711?
So moved.
We'll go with trustee Sanders and seconded by trustee Abbott.
No, I did not say.
That
I
wasn't,
did.
oh, I'm sorry, trustee Nolte. Sorry about that. I knew it was that end of the table. All right, so we have a motion and a second. We'll now open it up for discussion.
So thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I have some questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the first question I had when I started to read it was about this very large commercial district here that our planning commission decided not to make smaller. But then when I saw on page 3 that 0.7, that only 33.8 acres of usable C district land remain, does that mean it? So my first question about that is that 33.8, is that a single parcel or is that multiple parcels?
Multiple parcels, and where that comes from is when you apply the buffer to the property lines that are used for residential purposes, it shrinks the size of usable space quite significantly.
So does that mean that the ordinance or as proposed would limit the size of any data center to whatever small constellation of parcels would meet the criteria, and each one of those would be small because each one of those is smaller than 34 acres?
Potentially, what somebody could do is request a combination of lots and seek rezonings of adjacent parcels to commercial zoning and potentially increase the size, but as it stands currently, there's only that 30+ acres available of buildable space.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we get, so I think you've skipped ahead a little bit to Fletcher's report
Oh.
with the ordinance. Where this is just for the extension of the moratorium.
Okay, all right.
We're not considering the ordinance today. This is your first touch of, this is your first touch of the ordinance because it's hot off the presses from the planning commission. So Fletcher was including it. So we got all the information. We want you to have it as quickly as possible. So that's,
I don't even think the planning commission has seen this version. Oh, you guys are getting an advance release.
not even hot off the presses. So back to the resolution for the extension of the, but it shows you that we are very close. I think there was a question last month about the timeline. The extension that we're asking for would get us till February. It's our final 180-day extension. And I believe with all the planning commission's work, it looks like we will have ordinance to consider long before then, since we're getting information and drafts currently.
I feel a lot more comfortable seeing this than I did last month. But it still feels like a tight timeline, especially if the board sends something back to the planning commission as we've done. So, I mean, I'm supportive of this moratorium, but to me, it highlights the fact, February it feels like it's a long time from now, but it isn't really. So if we do our 3 touches and then that's 3 months there. And then if we send something back to the planning commission, that could add 2 or 3 months to it. So I'm happy that we're going to be knowledgeable when it comes to us, and we'll have an opportunity to feed our questions back to the planning commission. So thank you for doing this. And I'm looking at you, Alicia, because I think you.
I didn't do anything. It's Fletcher.
Well, thank you, Fletcher, then, but I think you probably asked for it. So, but I still feel a little bit of time pressure with 180 days.
Would you rather not extend it?
No, I
Okay.
don't. Yeah, I'm supporting, yeah.
Would it help the planning if we read through the individuals, if we read through it and submitted our questions one by one, you know, not as a quorum or anything, that just so they know where we're coming from before it comes back to us, or.
Well, maybe that's actually a great idea. Maybe that you could read over it. The planning commission meets next Tuesday. So if you could send your feedback individually, each of you, to Fletcher, then he could present your feedback to the planning commission. We will also have Foster Smith there to talk to us. So I think that would be better. It's better if we work with more information than less.
I'm looking at the chair to see if he nods along or not. I don't.
Mind doing that?
I think trustee Babbitt's suggestion is an excellent one. With the calendar that we have right now, I would suspect that we might have something to the board September at the earliest, October, probably
That's getting late.
November as an avail.
Hmm.
So the more information we have for our August meeting, and actually for our July meeting next week and the August meeting, put it all together, I think that would be very beneficial.
That's great. And then if there's feedback from your meeting, it can come to our September. We can continue to discuss even before it's finalized. I think that gives us,
Where do you want us to send him to Fletcher?
yeah, send it all to Fletcher. And he can compile.
It's good. I don't have to read this tonight.
All right. Any other discussion on the extension of the moratorium? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. It is a resolution, so I'll call a roll call vote. Trustee Sickinga,
Yes.
Trustee Sanders,
Yes.
Treasurer Metz,
Yes.
Trustee Abbott,
Yes.
Trustee Nolte,
Yes.
and Supervisor Scott, yes. The resolution is adopted. Our next action item is the approval of Township Board meeting rule revisions. That is page 51 in your packet. We've talked about this and had it in previous packets. All it does is remove, and you can see it on page. Hold on one second. Actually, I'm sorry. It's on page 4 is where it should be. We used to list standing board committees and those were removed. I thought this was the redlined version, but it looks like the updated version is already in here. So essentially it removes all of the listings of the standing committees. And that's the only change.
This reminds me of a couple of things. Sorry, but like procedural things that are embedded in here. One is that in the absence of the clerk, we're supposed to appoint a clerk for the meeting. And the other is that in the absence of the supervisor, we're supposed to appoint someone to facilitate the meeting. And so even though we have our recording secretary here, thank you, Janice, I wonder, were we supposed to appoint a clerk, a temporary clerk for this, for the board rules for the meeting?
We appoint the recording.
Says on page 50,
member of the
in the
board.
absence of the clerk, the board shall appoint one of its members as temporary clerk for that meeting.
I think the horse has left the barn.
I don't think so, because I think what the temporary clerk would do would be review the minutes. That isn't that what the clerk's role is to review the minutes? And
Yeah, so if we, because I had talked with Michelle earlier and it was a possibility she may not be here, I had told her that I would work with her on the minutes. So I don't know if we want to
Appoint you.
make that official, if that's what we think or if it needs to be someone else that's not already me or Brad.
I mean, it's a question about our board rules. Are we supposed to? It's a question for you, Lonnie. I mean, should we? I'm fine with it being you, but should we appoint you per board rules?
Yes, we should.
Yes, we should, if that's what it says that we.
Yes, we should.
It says shall, it doesn't say may, so.
In next meeting.
I have another amendment for these rules for the next meeting. No. We're not in a motion, so if anyone would like to make a motion currently, they can.
Well, I would like to make a motion that the supervisor act as the clerk for this meeting and that the clerk act as the facilitator for the August meeting.
All right, so I don't think we need the August. I don't think that's germane yet
Okay.
until that meeting starts. Okay, so move that the supervisor act as clerk for this meeting.
Said you cannot sign the minutes. You will sign the minutes.
Okay.
As the official minutes of this meeting.
Okay, thank you, Janice. That's a very helpful,
Maybe that's why it's written the way it is.
probably. All right, any, we have a motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Treasurer Metz. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. All right, the motion carries. All right, now moving back to approval of the Township Board meeting rule revisions. Is there a motion to adopt the meeting rule revisions?
I'll make a motion to adopt the rule revisions.
It's been moved by Trustee Sickinga. Is there a second? Seconded by Trustee Abbott. I was right that time.
Yep.
Right? All right, got it. Any discussion?
When will the public be able to participate remotely during a public comment period or public hearing as noted at the bottom of page 51?
Tel Systems will be here on August 6th or 8th. And so the August meeting, the capability should be there. I think we'll have to, there may be bugs to work out, but let me double check the date. August 6th is when they will be finalizing all of the work in the boardroom.
Okay, and then I wondered another little possible amendment to the minutes to this. I'm sorry, I didn't give it a more careful review in the prior month, but on page 54, where 8.2, where it says committee chair shall be appointed by the supervisor. Should we add a sentence that says that the supervisor is empowered to delegate that responsibility to the committees at the supervisor's discretion? Because I think right now we allow, in some cases, we allow committees to elect their, like I think the planning commission sets their own chair, and I think many of the committees set their own chairs. The chairs aren't set by the supervisor.
Yeah, but I think that doesn't the supervisor have final approval that we do like the planning commission, we elect our chair, but then I think it has to be approved by the supervisor, doesn't it? I may be wrong.
Well, and these are different, the standing,
No? Okay,
the-
I am wrong.
oh,
The planning commission elects their chair.
who was, someone, all right, someone else already answered. I was looking down. Yeah, no, we don't, they're elected. The only question I would have is, and the planning commission was not listed here, these are board committees. We don't create the planning. We appoint the members to the planning commission, but it's not something that's created by the board. That is something that is dictated by statute.
So you think, is it okay as written?
But even as the Fox board, we created that board, we created that board, but you don't appoint that,
Correct.
they do.
But under the board rules, the supervisor should have.
I know,
Yeah.
but to Karen's point, we
Yes.
need
Could
another.
we add a
sentence
sentence
there.
that says that the supervisor can delegate that authority?
Yeah,
Sure.
to the committee itself.
It's a good idea.
So,
Where's that?
It's
8.2, so how would you phrase it, Karen?
but by the supervisor, supervisor has the authority to delegate appointment of the chair to the committees
Does that have to be done?
Or do we just-
Then,
Should,
or designate.
should we just change
Or
it?
their
then?
designate.
Their designate.
just supervisor or their designee.
Yeah, that sounds fine. or their designee.
Otherwise, you're asking him to authorize the designee.
Yeah. Okay.
And then my other question isn't really a question about this, but I understood that the closed session description was taken from statute pretty closely. But what isn't obvious to me is whether we can discuss legal opinions that don't pertain to these specified purposes in closed session. And I don't need an answer now, but it'd be interesting to hear from Foster Swift what they think about that. Because we have in the past, even though we were operating under these rules, we have had closed sessions where we discussed legal opinions where we discussed legal opinions that didn't necessarily pertain to the purchase of property, or what was the other topic? Oh, or personnel matters.
Yeah, but letter D on the next page is to consult with the township attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with pending litigation. Yeah.
But if it's not pending litigation, so for example,
Preventative.
if we had a legal opinion about our strategy, because you mentioned the strategy about data centers. If we had a legal opinion about that, which doesn't pertain to any active litigation, but we're trying to prevent litigation, would that be covered?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can add,
Would it be?
I think it would be, I think under the MTA handbook, it has a little bit more on this, I think, and we can certainly ask Foster Swift, but anytime we have a legal opinion that around something like that, I believe we can, that legal opinion is protected. So I also go to like the FOIA or, the FOIA law. Those are things that are protected under different types of communication. So I think we can ask them if you have a question specifically about this section, but I do believe that if it prevents litigation, that would be considered as well.
Yeah, I mean, and they may suggest, or I might eventually suggest next time we revise this, that we simply say that we will go into closed session in compliance with the law, and not try to lay it out here in our own rules,
Yeah, I mean, letter F also to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure from state or federal law. So any legal opinions are exempt from disclosure while they're a work product. But yeah, we can, did you have you want to change for that now, or you want to just in the future? Okay. Other discussion about the board rules? No. All right. So we have, I believe, a motion and a second to approve the board rules as amended. No further discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. Next item is to discuss and approve a legal defense fund for elections. That is page 59 in your packet. This is something I believe Trustee Sickinga brought up during the last discussions around that there could be financial impacts of our decisions and around specific legal actions. There has been a lot of discussion in the county with county clerks and other folks around the potential for interruptions to elections. And so that's where this policy came from. So it's basically an exemption to our current policy, which says that up to $5,000 the executive committee could expend without previous board approval. This would allow us in an emergency situation to expend up to $50,000 from our emergency reserves for election-related legal services or associated legal expenses.
So you're not talking about setting up a fund and allocating the money and putting it in a fund, you're just seeking authorization to incur an expense.
Yeah, that if there was an emergency that we could incur the expense.
And our annual budget for attorney services is 30,000, so it might drive a budget amendment if we expended $50,000.
Yeah, we maintain a $500,000 emergency reserve is where I was thinking at first, and then we could figure out the budget amendment to fix that if needed.
And you only have the 4 areas that this authority would be for, correct?
Yes, very limited.
Yeah, so it is limited.
And only for an active election. So it really, this is for, in this election, we're not hosting 9 days early vote here. It's at a different location, but it would be really for the date, maybe the day before, since the stuff is set up, and the day of, really just to protect the administration of the elections.
My only comment, my initial comment is 50,000 seems high.
I think part of the concern, I think it's been talked about publicly, is that there's some concern that federal agencies may try to interfere by arresting election workers. And so if we were to have to bail out 5 to 10 election workers, I think we would go through that fairly quickly.
Okay. I can't even envision election workers being arrested by the federal government. And I'm not exactly sure why why that could even happen. Is there some contact?
There was a situation in Ohio that has caused sort of a chilling effect, is my understanding. And so that has been one of the concerns that have been raised.
I mean, I'm all for this if you can keep it limited to those 4 bullet points. I think that it is a limit, we're not talking about they can just go use up to 50,000 without board approval. It's limited to those 4 items.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty narrow scope.
And it's simply for a protective mechanism, just in case.
Correct.
And nobody would expect it, but it's good to be prepared for unexpected things.
And if our insurance would provide coverage for this, we would get reimbursed later. But so you're just trying to have the authority to do it if it's needed.
Yes. And we're unsure still. The insurance still says that it's a gray area. Any federal activity becomes a sort of gray area with the insurance. So it's not that they wouldn't cover it necessarily, but it really depends on circumstances. Any other discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve the legal defense fund for elections?
I'll move to approve the legal defense fund.
All right, it's been moved by trustee Sanders, seconded by trustee Abbott. Any further discussion? Since this does have monetary impact, I am going to do a roll call vote just so we have it on the record. Trustee Nolte.
Yes.
Trustee Abbott.
Yes.
Treasurer Metz.
Yes.
Trustee Sanders.
Yes.
Trustee Sickinga.
Yes.
Supervisor Scott, yes. The motion carries. Next is action item F. I'm sorry, it's actually G now. Sorry. Update on conservation easement funding impacts for application 2022-3. That is in your supplemental material. Again, I apologize for all of the extra items that were on the table. This is a result of some changes that have taken place with the Esch property and the large Esch property. Where did mine say? Yeah, mine is.
Supplemental material. Yeah.
Hold on one second. I'm sorry.
Page.
Oh, here it is.
This one?
Yeah, second
Yes.
page. Wow. I don't think I had.
It's okay. Oh, here, it's right on top. There we go.
No, maybe it's.
This is what happens when we have too many papers.
Yes.
So essentially to give you, there is a revision that's needed based on the state grant that will require us to do a new appraisal. And the appraisal amount is in here. It's not expected to exceed $2,000. But because of the revised appraisal for the changes that have to take place for the homes that we had previously agreed could be built on the property around the easement, it will also slightly change the award that we get from the state. So the township would end up paying an additional, we expect it to be $25,000 beyond what we had already authorized. We would still only be paying, and this is in Barry's memo, approximately 7% of the overall cost. And this is just a change that was necessitated by the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development around those building envelopes. So wanted to come back to the board. We did authorize a little bit of additional funding with that when we did it in the beginning, but not enough to cover this. So wanted to come back to the board. I will say we are very, very close. The purchase agreement for this is done, which will then allow us to get the rest of all the grant paperwork done and proceed hopefully to closing here this fall. So.
I don't understand this sentence. The revised appraisal is expected to reduce the after value of the property. Okay, I get that. Increasing the value of the development rights. Why would that increase? It seems like that would reduce the value of the development rights because less land is available for development and the land is already, will have development on it.
It's the opposite because we're purchasing the easement. So because there will be those buildable lots, the difference in those 2 to 4 acres will be no longer easement. They become buildable. And so what MDARD is providing is to purchase the easement. So it offsets, is my understanding.
Say it again.
I didn't get that.
So the revised appraisal is needed because instead of doing building envelopes that are included in the easement, MDARD's standards now are that we have to just take those acres out of the easement.
Right.
So they would no longer be included.
Okay.
And so that appraisal will increase because they wouldn't be a part of the easement. That would increase the development value.
Why?
Which
Why would it increase the development value? I don't get that.
Because the easement value, this is, I wish Barry were here. We might have to ask him. My understanding was that because it would no longer be a part of the easement, that will change the appraisal on the actual easement. And that shifts that cost a little bit because the state will, while they're still providing whatever their percentage is.
Seems to me the only way it would change if that was happening is if the owner wanted to hold a price. And then we would be liable for more price because the evaluation would go down and the grant money would go down.
Because it
And we're
seems,
making up the differential from the grant money.
Yes, that is the difference in the price is that we're because
the price, but
and
that's not really
MDARD.
saying increasing the value of the
Yeah.
development.
Well, I think that this
Increase
first
the
cover
value.
sheet was written by Sam. The memo from Barry is behind it.
Oh,
Okay,
maybe that's what we're doing. Seems to me like the owners were just holding the price.
But I think that's correct, Karen. We agreed to we've already agreed to a price.
Price, and so our price is going up even though the value went down. We're making up we're compensating for that devaluation.
Because that we will lose part of that from the grant.
That's
Yes.
how I took it.
Yes, I think that's exactly right.
It's a little different because we agreed to a price.
yeah, so it will increase
Before,
the
yeah.
difference between the before.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I see.
Now it's making sense. That's how
Okay.
I took it.
Yeah,
You
okay.
explained it better.
Yeah,
Than I did. Very, very much. Yes, I believe that's exactly right.
okay,
But we're still holding about 7 or 8%, whatever it was, the appraised value.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any additional questions?
And they're really signing off on this? Like, is it gonna?
I don't think it betrays any, they've already signed a purchase agreement.
Okay.
And I believe
Purchase
I should be signing it either to, that I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I expected to see it either today or tomorrow. It has been a long time, but there was a lot to work out. Fletcher has
Right.
done an enormous amount of work, to make sure that we could get it all squared away. I mean, lots of people have done a lot. Barry has done a lot of work, the Eshes themselves and their attorneys. It's been a lot to work through. But I think we are very, very, very close. And then once we have the purchase agreement signed, which I believe should be this week, we then will be able to move towards closing.
Yeah.
And that's when this stuff will be.
Basically, this is authorizing another 25%, not 25,000 out of Fossports.
27,
27.
yeah, up to 27.
It says 25. I expect Dexter Township share to increase on the order of 25.
For the property, but the appraisal will be about 2,000.
Oh,
So the motion on,
read both pages. Okay, Karen.
no problem. Any other discussion or questions? All right, is there a motion to approve an expenditure not to exceed $27,000 for revisions to the conservation easement appraisal to reflect changes required by the MDARD for application 2022-3?
Sure.
I'll second it.
All right. Moved by Nolte, seconded by Sanders.
We have to put a little, this is just a question. Do we need to put a little fudge factor in there in case the appraisal comes in, $1,000 off or something?
I think this includes a little bit of wisdom.
This
And
is
we
yours or
did
mine?
ask a little bit of wiggle room in the original.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Oh,
We'll
okay.
come back for another 1,000.
yes, all right, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. This is monetary, so I'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Nolte?
Yes.
Trustee Abbott?
Yes.
Treasurer Metz?
Yeah.
Trustee Sanders?
Yes.
Trustee Sickingham?
Yes.
All right, and Supervisor Scott, yes, motion carries. We'll now move into to discussing resolution 26-712, the Washtenaw County E911 surcharge. And that was also in supplemental material. I did email this out because this is a very complex issue. So I emailed this to everyone earlier today as well. And I'll do just a quick description of some of this. There's a lot in the write-up, and then I can answer questions, or we can entertain a motion and move into discussion. This is all moving very, very quickly. And so the first, I'm a member of the Police Services Steering Committee appointed by Washtenaw County. The first that I had heard of this at all was at the July 10th Police Services Steering Committee meeting. The sheriff had presented on it apparently at the July 5th or 6th County Commission meeting. And so this is all moving very, very quickly. The request from the sheriff has been that this item come back before the county commission at their August 5th meeting to be put on the ballot this November. So this is a very quick turnaround. There are a lot of moving pieces. And that's why this is happening now. So I apologize. I can't remember a time being on the board at all that we have ever considered a resolution this quickly without having additional conversation. So I apologize. But that's why the timeline has been so short. I think what I'll do, I'll pause there and see if we have a motion, and then we can go into discussion on the resolution.
I'll make the motion. What should the motion be?
The motion is to approve resolution 26712, a resolution opposing the proposed increase to the Washtenaw County E911 surcharge until greater transparency, equity, and financial accountability are provided.
So moved.
All right, so it's been moved by trustee Sickinga, seconded by trustee Nolte. And we'll move into discussion.
Quick question, how many municipalities are involved in this? And what happens if just one municipality says no?
So it's
Okay.
everybody, and the county would put it on, the idea is that the county would put it on the ballot for November. And so if voters for the Washtenaw County voted for it, everybody would be included.
Right.
Like a millage, it's not a millage, I want to be
Right,
very
right.
clear, but it's like a millage in that way, that they would put it on the ballot, and if it passed by a majority.
Basically just us taking a stance that we're not getting the right answers
Can I-
prior to supporting it.
Yes.
Can I
I speak too.
Well, can I just summarize what the fire chief said at the last?
Sure, we'll go to Karen and then Laura.
So the DAFD board, as Lonnie mentions in his write-up, we support more resources to 911 because we've consistently had issues with 911, and 911 has consistently been sort of under-resourced, as you can see in some of these materials. But the proposal that's on the table right now provides that the 911 emergency dispatch operation would be entirely located within the sheriff's department, and that we have decentralized fire services in Washtenaw County. So we have many different fire agencies, and the sheriff is not an expert in fire dispatch, basically. So what the chiefs want, there's a confederation of fire chiefs in Washtenaw County, and they want the 911, the emergency dispatch center, to be operated by an independent board with, I think, 3 police representatives, 3 fire representatives, and 1 mental health provider, rather than housed within the sheriff's department. And he gave us a few examples of times when the dispatch for fire services was not informative enough for them to come with the right equipment, and it resulted in a worse effect for the person that was calling for emergency services. And as the chief said, anytime there's a call to 911 that does not require an armed response, they send the fire. The fire is the first responder. So for medical, for anything medical, or floods or fires or whatever, the fire is the first respondent. So the fire chiefs are asking, they want to be at the table for the administration of this fund. So that is why DAFD wrote the letter. The DAFD board wrote that letter.
Go ahead, Laura.
Okay, so I am not claiming to understand this totally because it's super complex, but I've talked with you, Lonnie, several times about it. I talked with the sheriff about it. And what I don't like is the title of this, because it seems to me that everybody agrees that something has to be done about 911. I mean, if we're paying 43 cents and what is it, Lenawee County is paying $3. I mean, I think that it's clear that something needs to be done, but that it feels very rushed. And very likely the sheriff is rushing to get it on the ballot for November. So to me, it feels like this resolution should read, we're not opposing it. We don't want it on the ballot. We're opposing it being put on the ballot, right? I mean, I wouldn't take a stance and say I'm opposing it. I don't know enough about it. And I don't want to be rushed into saying that I don't approve of it. I understand not rushing to put it on the ballot, but I also understand that probably means, that it wouldn't be happening right now. I don't know that I'm even making sense, but.
Oh, you are.
Okay. I mean, this, I don't agree with the title of this, and I don't really think that transparency is the right word, because I've read everything that Sheriff Dyer put out, and the memos and all of that. I'm not saying I understand it all, but I don't think that she hasn't been transparent. She may be in a hurry to get it done.
Well, Lonnie isn't. Well, first of all, I mean, I agree, we could tweak the language here, I
Mhm.
think. But I think I did wonder if the 43 cents was a little bit of an understatement because we have a millage that provides support for 911 services. And so I found those tables to be perhaps a little deceptive, which is where the word transparency doesn't, I mean, I'm not saying it's intentionally deceptive, but it's not a complete financial analysis. So all it's doing is comparing the surcharge on the cell phone. But in Washtenaw County, we have a millage.
Right,
And
and
our
it comes
mill-
out of that.
And 25% of that millage is specifically dedicated to 911 services. So
That would
there-
be shifted, as I understand, right? That
well,
millage.
but my point is, you said transparency is the wrong word. And well, for me, transparent financial, that is misleading financial information that's been put out. And I don't like that. It feels like it lacks transparency. I'm not impugning anyone's motives, but
Mhm.
it's not transparent if Livingston County or whoever has zero millage in support of 911. And we look, and everybody looks at them and says, oh my gosh, we're so behind Livingston County. I don't know if we're behind Livingston County because I don't know the value. I don't know what the dollar value is of
Mhm.
our millage plus the 43 cents versus their surcharge alone,
Mhm.
And I'd need to see, and that's where to me.
It's
yeah,
unclear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe clarity would be.
I think clarity.
Clarity
Yeah,
instead of
it's
transparency.
just what happens to the millage.
Well,
if
and
this
that's
is
the other
passed.
question.
That is
What happens to?
that is the crux of my issue. So I just want to say very, very clearly, I 100% support using the surcharge for dispatch. I think it's the right way to go. I think it's the only way that we will be able to keep up with the E911 changes. I think there's a lot of reasons that it is the right thing to do. The problem is, and the reason that this resolution is here and is because there is no clarity and in my mind transparency around what happens when that shift takes place. So right now, police contract partners like us, we're in a collaboration with Dexter City and Webster Township. The city of Manchester, which you'll note passed this last night at their city council meeting, Ypsilanti Township, Scioto Township. There are a number of communities that contract with the sheriff's office for our police services. And currently, as a part of our contracts, we pay a certain amount towards dispatch. The county, we get a subsidy through dispatch. They are paying a portion of that from the public safety and mental health millage. And one of the big things that's unclear, and one of the questions that the contract partners have been asking and not been able to get an answer to, is where the savings end up being applied. Because what's been shown and that's why I included these spreadsheets, is you'll see that our subsidy from the county towards dispatch is around $25,000 per PSU. It's like 23,000 some odd dollars.
What is PSU?
A PSU is basically our DEM. It's our police service unit.
So
that's per deputy that we.
So that's $75,000 in total for our.
For the three, yep, for the three that we. So, but the projected savings, as you'll see in the sheriff's presentation and in the other spreadsheet for the contract partners is around $3,000 per PSU.
$22,000.
So there's about a $22,000 per deputy difference, which for us, is $66,000. That's a lot compared to our $800,000 police budget. That currently is a subsidy from the county. The bigger point of that is something we are getting because of the millage. And we do not get much other benefit from the police. That is our main benefit from the countywide millage. So our residents are paying both a countywide millage and our police service millage that we charge to pay for our police services. So for the county portion, and this is one of the things that we're working on through the Police Services Steering Committee, there's not a lot of other places where the county is funding the disparity for our communities. The communities that have their own police services, Ann Arbor City, Chelsea City, Ypsilanti City, the way the millage is written, they actually get dedicated line items from the millage to support their police services. So if you actually add up what we are sending to the county between our millage and the county millage, we are already not getting back fully what our residents are paying in. Now, there's a lot of discussion about we're a community. I don't mind. There are lots of things that the sheriff's office does beyond these contract partners that are funded. You know, there's different reasons for that. But the county made that determination when they divided up how the millage and the mental health millage would go. And so this subsidy for us is one of the ways that we get back any money from that. So our main question that remains unanswered is what happens?
To the
What happens to that money, to the full subsidy? And that still, I actually was copied on an email just before this meeting. There still is no answer to that. And I just think until we know that, I can't, even though I personally think that this is what we need to do, we need to go to joint dispatch with fire and EMS. We need to fund it in a way that is sustainable. 100% agree with all of that. I can't in good conscience, as a representative of our community, support this without answering those questions. And that's my biggest, and that's my biggest thing with it.
Does the county support the 331? 3 fire, 3 police, 1.
Well, the fire chiefs have not been included. I mean, you know, they have not been included in these discussions. So
they don't even know.
It's as the, and it's I feel like fire service is a huge value for Dexter Township residents, you know, and if you look at the statistics about calls, you know, runs and all that, you can see that medical runs are the #1 need for public safety in Dexter Township. It's not policing,
Right.
it's not jails, and I think that the proposal to house it in the sheriff's department sort of reflects this problem that we're struggling with in the fire department, which is that 911 dispatch is oriented towards policing, but most of the use, at least in the township, is for medical and non-police services. And so the fire chiefs are dealing with the same thing that Lonnie is dealing with, which is this is very last minute. And so, and I think that the motivation is to save the cost of a special election. But I think maybe it's worth bearing the cost of a special election so we can roll this out in a more thoughtful way that ensures, for me, I mean, I understand Lonnie's point, but for me, I feel it's of urgent importance that that the whole thing be designed around accommodating all kinds of emergency calls and not just policing calls. So I have both of those concerns and would like to just slow the thing down.
Has the county commission made a statement yet about it? Have they made any?
No, which is why we're trying to act prior to their meeting, because I mean, the reality is this will save the county millions of dollars, potentially, that they then can reallocate or move around. And that's our question, is where do those dollars go? Because right now they're allocated. Sorry, that's weird. I like choked myself. I shouldn't have taken that drink earlier. And so the county commission also, my understanding is the first they had heard of this also was the presentation that they saw on July 5th.
Oh, my.
So what if we change the language to title it a resolution urging a slower and more collaborative process for approving the proposed increase to the Washington E911 surcharge? Would that be acceptable to I mean, to the board, to Laura.
Can you say it? Can you say it again?
A resolution urging a slower and more collaborative process for approving the proposed increase and going on from there. So instead of saying opposing the proposed increase, which I think
Nobody's opposed.
nobody's opposed to the
Yeah.
proposed increase, but we are in favor of a slower and more collaborative process for approving it.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind changing the title. I do oppose it until we have greater transparency and financial accountability.
And I do too, so. But
So I mean, I don't, I mean, I do want to slow it down, but I also want to me, I want the county board to know that I would not be out advocating this to our residents if they pass it on the 5th without these things. So I think that's why the title is set to be strong, is like, I am opposed to it unless, just like the Daphne letter, if it doesn't include fire and if the language doesn't include the governance structure, because I also don't, I don't trust that if it's not included in the language and in the deliberation, that it gets added later, that fire happens. My understanding is that it will take basically whole new infrastructure, lots of new software to integrate fire. And I haven't seen a full budget. So I think if that's not included in the language, I wouldn't support it.
But they did in their letter, the consolidated fire chiefs did say, theirs started with, we support the use of this surcharge if these conditions are met. And then they listed out the conditions that needed to be met. So the starting sentence was more
Positive.
Positive.
was
Yeah.
more positive. Yeah. I mean,
I don't mind.
I'm just putting
I'm
it
not
out there.
opposed to changing it. I just wanted to make sure that I said on the record, I do oppose it until these things are met. I just couldn't advocate to our community, even though I, again, 100% believe that this is how we need to do it in the future. We have to have the answers to those questions. Because the last thing I want to do is tell the community, yes, we're going to do this, and then find out we don't. I mean, there's no full budget. So we could find out that it's not enough money to do fire and EMS. That's, we just don't know.
well, how do others feel about that
Yeah.
change in the title? How do you guys, do you guys prefer it as written or?
In the, now therefore, it be resolved that paragraph, it says Dexter Township Board opposes the proposed increase until da-da-da. It doesn't in there directly mention bringing I call it the 331 for the fire, police and.
Where are
mental
you,
health.
Karen?
First page 2.
Now therefore be it resolved.
Yeah, the very last paragraph of the resolution.
At the bottom of that page. Laura. You just-
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
aren't we
Sorry, okay.
asking for fire to be included? But this doesn't say that we're asking that.
We can. Daphne sent a separate letter
Oh,
Yeah.
asking for that.
But we can,
It
you
seems
could
like we
add
should-
something
should we-
supporting the fire chiefs. Because I
Rather than-
also like that they were wanting a mental health person. on
Yeah,
their
me
board,
too.
You know, so
Heck yeah, that's
so
important.
they want,
I think it would be nice if we included a little bullet in support of the fire chief, so they're not like, just the fire chiefs are out there on their own,
an independent governance structure that with the
Include
equal representation of
for
police.
fire, police.
With the equal representation of fire and police and at least one mental health services representative.
So you want to add that as a
As a
fifth,
bullet,
as a
Yeah.
fifth bullet?
fifth bullet.
Can you say that one more time? One of
With,
the parents.
a governance,
A governing
see how
body,
this
a
starts.
governing,
So this says greater transparency is provided.
okay,
instead
so
of-
then I would say no. Then I would
Yeah.
add just a number 2
Okay.
that says the Dexter Township Board of Trustees supports a governance structure that includes an independent board with
Equal
equal
represent,
representation by police and fire services and at least one. Well, instead of saying police and fire services, let's say sheriffs and fire services and at least
One
one
mental
mental health representative. And I say that because the sheriff also does county corrections.
Mm.
So
Fire
again,
services.
the Dexter Township Board of Trustees supports an independent governance structure with a board of directors comprised of equal representation by the sheriff's department and fire departments and fire, or let's say sheriffs and fire services, and at least one mental health provider.
Is there anyone that's opposed to that for me? So we added that as number 2. So we'll renumber
Mhm.
the others. Speaking briefly to those, number 2 currently, which will now be number 3. The other thing that the sheriff sent a memo to contract partners regarding this that asked that the police services steering committee basically pause their work until November.
oh, until after the election.
And also that she would no longer be personally attending, that she would delegate Commander Lowe instead of attending herself. It's unclear if she can do that. We were all appointed individually by the county in a resolution. And frankly, and this is just my personal feelings and opinion about it as someone who's been at those meetings, I feel that it's very important that the sheriff be there. Those meetings are the direct discussions about operations and changes and methodology that will guide the next contract with all of the contract partners. Just as a reminder, we passed our 1-year extension because of the PSSC work, but all of the police services contracts end this December. So if municipalities did not pass their 1-year extension, their contracts would end in December. And so I think it's very important that this work continue and that the sheriff be directly involved. And that's why these other items are there.
And we don't know, I mean, I hear you, and but we don't know if she can delegate that
Correct.
responsibility.
Correct. It's unclear. I don't believe so with the way that it was done by resolution, and the bylaws don't. There's nothing that says that you can send a proxy. So for example, I'm named as Lonnie Scott, Dexter Township Supervisor, as a representative. I don't believe that means that I could send Trustee Abbott in my place as a voting member. But again, we don't know for sure. I haven't seen anything in the bylaws that allow it, but that is a question.
Will you be going, so the Daphne board appointed one or asked, we picked somebody on the board to go to the Washtenaw County Commissioners meeting on August 4th, and that's going to be John Scharf. Should we, or should you, since you're on this,
I will actually be in Europe on August 5th, the day that they're having their meeting.
I mean, should we send somebody should somebody from our board go and speak to this matter?
Potentially. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it will be a main topic of their conversation. And I am having a meeting with Jason Maciejewski, who is I've texted with him, and we're meeting next week. And I also have a call on Friday with the new county administrator. And there is a meeting being planned of all the contract partners. There are several municipalities. I don't want to get ahead of myself in case they didn't get it on their agenda, because we're looking to offer the same resolution at their meetings tonight or at their future meetings.
I mean, I would raise my hand to go, but I'm gonna be in Colorado visiting my son on August 5th, so I won't be in town.
I won't either.
All right, any further discussion?
Did we want to change the title of this, or are you okay with it, Laura, now that we've talked about it?
No, I'm not okay with it. I like
Okay.
what Karen said. Better, much better.
Did we? write
Because I
that
don't
down?
think that we.
I wrote it
We
down.
opposed
Oh.
it right now, but
Oh.
I mean, I don't think in general. In general, it sounds like everybody agrees that some change needs to occur. So,
Okay. Was there a motion on the table already?
yeah,
Yes. And so we're in discussion, but we will have to, I mean, we've made other amendments, so we'll have to consider them all. So if you want to read it out, we can.
Well, what I said was a resolution urging a slower and more collaborative process for approving the proposed increase to the Washtenaw County E19, blah, blah, blah.
More collaborative, say after collaborative.
So I take out the word opposing.
Yep.
And replace it with urging a slower and more collaborative process for approving.
For approving the proposed increase to the Washington County.
But actually, I almost would rather say before approving, not
Yeah.
just but before approving. To make it clear that we want them to be slower.
And then would it just end after surcharge? So take out the until greater
No, I would just leave the rest of it in place
Okay,
as is.
okay. So
I
just reading it back, so we got it. A resolution urging a slower and more collaborative process before approving the proposed increase to the Washtenaw County E911 surcharge until greater transparency, equity, and financial accountability are provided.
Didn't we?
I think we should just leave it I think we should take that out and just leave it at where you end up saying surcharge. We should take out these.
Disagree. Because you are asking, where does that $66,000 go? We want that transparency of where is our millage money going?
Yeah, and we want those.
We don't know that.
And we want that fire representation. We don't want it to be a sheriff's program.
Yeah, I just don't like that language. It's kind of, I don't know. I just don't like it feels
I would say greater transparency.
negative to me, and it doesn't have to be.
Can we say greater transparency, collaborative equity?
Well, we have collaborative in the first
Oh, that's
sentence
right.
now.
Knew that word was floating around.
Alicia, were you?
Well, I just, I don't know why we would put a period at the end of where's surcharge. You know, I think that we have to, I think that we have to include, and you might not like the word transparency, but we're asking for it. Equity, financial accountability. I think that it's good that we stayed up front what we're asking for. I
Mhm.
think that if we don't, we need it to be read. And I think that the title has to say, basically it's saying it all. And that's what we want. And it's only, I feel like you can take words as negative, but I don't think it's a negative to ask for transparency. I don't think it's a negative to ask for equity. And I don't think it's a negative to ask for financial accountability.
No, I don't either, but I think the word clarity is better than transparency, because I talked to the sheriff about this and clearly, like, she feels like she's been ultra transparent, answered,
But that's not
many
saying, here's
questions.
the thing, that's not saying, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but we're not saying that she hasn't been transparent. But the thing is, this is a pretty big rush job.
Yeah,
With a lot more questions than solutions, and that bothers me, that all of a sudden we gotta ramrod this through.
no, it bothers me too, but the word
Okay.
transparency bothers me. I don't think that it's accurate.
Was she able to answer the question where the 66, or you probably didn't?
No, look,
Yeah,
this
I
is
get you.
really
No, I
hard to
get you.
understand.
Yeah, no, totally.
But, and I didn't ask that
Yeah,
complete,
right.
that question. I was listening for, yeah.
Well, I mean, clarity doesn't cover it though for me. I mean, so maybe it's greater attention to the details. I mean, I feel like
Right.
like it's, the details just aren't there.
It's the detail, I know, wait, I guess when I think of transparency, I think of people trying to hide things.
But that's not what transparency
Okay.
is. That's.
It-
I
that's-
think that's what we.
It's a stigmatized,
Yeah.
it's a stigmatizing, and that's what I don't like about it.
Well, I don't think clarity means the same as transparency. I think, I just want to know, I want them to be more clear if they're gonna
Did you
rush
hear
this.
How do you get your tires to squeal for that?
Yeah, that's a long. That's a lot.
Someone's hauling down there.
Yeah.
Call the
Sorry.
sheriff. But I think transparency is, while I understand that for some people that is a trigger word, but I think we want to know more, we need to see more and
You need your questions answered.
yeah.
It's just a public sector word. I mean,
But I think also with greater transparency means that there has been transparent, we just need more. That's all, we're just looking for more of what you've already done. It's not saying, if the word greater
you
or
want
increased
increased?
or.
Yeah, do you want increased over greater?
I think greater would be better than increased, just.
Yeah, I think greater is-
Like
But-
transparency,
but
can I
greater
just not like?
transparency.
You can just not like it.
But do you like it better?
Hold on.
Like it better with the word greater in there? Because that does,
No.
he's right, that's a good.
I don't like the word
catch.
transparency. I think clarity is good enough, but or details, something to attention to detail or whatever. But I'm not gonna like the word transparency. It feels stigmatizing to me.
But it seems like there's not an appetite to change the word. So I think,
It's a nice choice, not an appetite.
yeah, we could, I mean, I feel like we could debate it for a long time.
Exactly.
But, all right, so any additional discussion or changes?
Can I ask one question? Do you expect to get an answer on this? Or is this?
no, we
Yeah.
expect to know, but I mean, if
Yeah.
all the communities in the county come forward and all the fire chiefs come forward and the ambulance service comes
Yeah.
forward and says, this is a rush job.
rush
He
job,
said, I
right.
like that. I like that phrase. This is a rush job. Let's slow this down. Let's be thoughtful. Then I think the board will say, yes, they can save some money from it. And they're going to be tempted to want to say yes, but they're not going to want everybody to be mad at it.
Well, and
Or
I mean,
pull out of their contract.
yeah, or but I do believe if, I think very quickly, if those questions were answered,
It would go.
people would come to the table. But
Yeah.
I think that the Board of Commissioners needs to know that that's a stipulation, that we don't want it just decided after the fact.
Right.
That it has to be presented, maybe I mean, if we send it to them now, my hope is they actually have time before their meeting, that maybe they come with language that includes fire and a governance structure and, that if we're providing feedback, I don't know that they have enough time to fully get it
I
there.
just didn't
But
know if this resolution, well, maybe adding the number 2, it didn't say we wanted that. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping we're clearer.
yeah, I don't expect that we'll get,
Yeah, okay. I was just asking.
but we want the board to know where we're at.
Exactly.
And this is our only opportunity to do that before their meeting. Any additional discussion? Okay, so we have a motion from trustee Sickinga. Do you accept the changes that were proposed?
The two changes being urging the language in the title and then adding a second bullet point that specifies the governance structure.
And renumbering, correct?
Yes, and renumbering. Yes,
Okay.
I accept those changes.
And trustee Nolte, you were the second. Do you
Yes.
accept those changes? Okay. So before us now is the amended version. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. And it is a resolution, so we'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Nolte,
Yes.
trustee Abbott,
Yes.
treasurer Metz,
Yes.
trustee Sanders,
Yes.
trustee Sickinga,
Yes.
supervisor Scott. Oh, look at that. I promoted myself.
You're a trust.
It's true. It counts. Yes. And so the resolution is adopted. All right, we're now on to discussion items. The first is, we're back to your regular packet, by the way. I think we are done with supplemental everything. We are now
Page
into
61.
discussion items, page 61. Is the purchase of radar signs for speed management and traffic safety. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. Just wanted to mention, we had a meeting with Lieutenant Kratzenberg and Sergeant Hogan, who are the two sheriff's representatives that are assigned to our collaboration. And Sam and I had a conversation with them about lots of speed issues. They had actually, the sheriff's office had just been out to do a traffic operation on Huron River Drive. They pulled over, I believe it was 16 cars and gave 11 citations. I wasn't gonna tell everybody. We have several areas in the township that we are getting consistent complaints about speed. The sheriff's office is very responsive when we give them those. They do have the new technology that shows where your cars report to them how fast people are going on the roads. So they do have technology to see the average speed on each of the roads for any given 2-week period, to show hot spots around the township. And in the conversation, we talked about, we do have one radar sign currently up on Dexter Town Hall Road. And we've been having a lot of issues with the batteries with it, where it'll last for about a week and then they go out and the sheriff's office has to go charge them for several days. And then they put them back in. So what we're talking about here is the purchase of several signs, permanent solar signs that would give speed and then indicate your speed. Preferably the ones with red and blue lights that flash in them, because those are the most effective at catching people's attention. For areas around the township, we would still be able to discuss where those are, but certainly places like North Territorial that has turned into a drag strip recently, and other roads, just in an effort to slow folks down to the speed limits. And then also the discussion around another trailer that we could use to move to hot spots around the township, and the sheriff's office would be responsible for that. So we let them know what happens right now with the trailer. We let them know, they go move it to the area that it's needed, and monitor it for those things. We would want to do solar for all of these so we can stop having the issues that we're having with the batteries. So that's why I wanted to bring it forward. This is just a first conversation about it. And wanted to give the board some information. We are not tied to these specific signs. This is just the preferred vendor of the sheriff's department. So they had the ability to get us information.
And the sheriff stores these when they're not in use?
The trailer, we would have to figure out, I actually think most of the time it would be deployed. I think for the winter, we would have to figure out, my guess is a spot in the parking lot or somewhere that's accessible. The other ones would be permanent.
Oh, they're we put them in and they're permanent.
Like
The-
the one in Dexter.
Yeah, like when you're,
When you come up on Central toward,
they'd be attached to
During
to
our-
the speed limit sign already.
On your way in on Main Street,
Yeah.
like right on your way in. Can I ask a question? In terms of data collection, I mean, are they able to collect data on who's passing, like the license plates of people or anything like that? Do they do any kind of
No, I don't.
per driver data collection?
Not that I know of.
Okay, I
Not
want-
passively.
I would want to make sure that
Yeah.
is not the case.
Yeah. You mean the signs?
Yeah, I'm saying, can these?
So there's no
be
cameras?
passed?
No.
People's, because, there is some really sneaky data collection stuff going on roads.
Yeah.
In terms of people they could even do it in Chelsea when they were studying the traffic
Yeah.
in Chelsea.
Yeah.
They were getting people's personal data.
Yeah, because it says stealth mode allows the sign to collect baseline traffic data.
Yeah.
All speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
That's the same thing, I
you know.
believe, that that the sheriff's office already has, where your car emits a signal. If your car is newer than, I forget which year he said.
It's 2008.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think it's before that. I think it's 2006 or 10.
And they talked about it on Watts where they collect. So basically our cars all send the data, how we drive and everything. And then they take all of that data and then
It's aggregated.
yeah, it's aggregated and sold out.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna, but like the sheriff's department isn't saying, oh, that trustee Abbott, she's running 70 and
Yeah,
50.
but-
They're not doing that.
Yeah,
It's
but-
like they can't.
but
they're
can
not
they?
saying-
I just want to say that data has been, that was never expected to get into the hands of, the federal, government,
Is,
also has been subpoenaed and taken. Medicaid data from the IRS. I mean, and I don't want to, I want to have that question answered about whether people's cars and driver's licenses and things can be,
Yeah.
pulled from this.
I-
Because that could be turned over to the lien system.
Yeah, we can know for
Yeah.
sure, but that we definitely wouldn't buy anything that did that.
Yeah, that's why I want
Um,
to, if it
yeah.
doesn't.
does anybody know what the new big silver poles on North T are? There's a straight up poles like there's.
Well, no, I'm trying to figure out, are you talking about the ones they put up 2 years ago?
No, did it take me 2 years to notice them?
Well, not.
At the corner,
It's one's up here. a
I do
little
believe
bit,
the
and then
ro-
there's another one down there.
I do believe the road commission, as part of these, they could be cameras.
I was wondering if they were cameras.
They may be, I know as a part of whatever when they were doing the work, that's definitely a part of the bridge. There's new technology for,
Yeah, but it's not down here. It's
One
up
for the-
here. It's up here on North T and there's one down here on North T.
yeah, at the corner here, right? By the light or not?
Not right at the corner. Well,
Oh.
maybe it's pretty close. to
Then
the
maybe
corner.
not. It could be cameras. We would have to look at
I feel like we should.
the
do
road
that.
commission.
So.
Couple things to.
So that we might already be collecting the data that you're worried about, Laura. They might already be collecting.
Well, if the cameras are on the pole.
But
they're
not the
collecting
sheriff's department.
Yeah. the
Not
sheriff's
accessed by the
department
sheriff's.
Is again, it
Who's
has against license plate reading.
I believe it would
But
be.
these are gonna be,
You
these
think
are
they're
gonna be
looking-
ours, not the sheriff's department, right?
Correct.
So the data, if data is collected, another question, I guess, is if they do collect data,
Who controls it?
who has access to that data? Is it only us that have access to that data, or, would the sheriff's department also have access
I
to
don't
the
think it
data?
is.
Is it aggregated data, or can it be individuated?
I don't think in this day and age you can define that.
Well, the federal government thinks
know what
they
I
have
mean?
access to everybody's
Everything,
data.
yeah.
And they have
That's
gone
my
after a whole lot of data that nobody ever expected.
Well,
Yeah.
and they've been told by the courts that they
have
have
to give it-
improper data, and
Yeah.
they've still released.
So I'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we
I'd like
bring
to know
anything.
that.
This was just an initial,
Yeah,
so everyone, our goal is to slow folks down,
Mhm.
highlight, yeah, we've had a lot of,
Find out if cameras are going on those poles?
yes.
Thanks.
I will try. I guess I shouldn't say yes until I know. I will
can ask.
try. I
Yeah.
will, yes, I'll ask. Anything else about the radar signs? All right, the next item is the RFP for rain garden and prairie installation.
Yeah, so, this will be very quick, but so we issued the RFP, but the responses aren't due until August 3rd. But we did ask the bidders to discuss the use of chemicals and why they use the
Bless you.
chemicals. I also did a little bit of research. I was hoping I could find that they're that there have been successful installations without chemicals. I did find that there are more eco-friendly and less eco-friendly chemicals like glyphosate. I'm sure all of you know they're associated with colony collapse disease and cancer and all that, but so you can exclude certain highly toxic chemicals, but anyway, so we'll see what the bidders say, and we should be back to you next month with the results of the bid.
Karen?
Can I ask a question? So we're talking about back here prairie, right? And we're talking about rain garden across the front, the whole front, or just,
The design is in there. I mean,
I
there's.
didn't understand if it was extending.
Just on this side.
Just on this side
It
of the
looked like it was
driveway.
just on this side.
So that side.
Oh,
of the-
yes, it's just on this side.
It's just
of it.
on this
Yeah,
side.
Of the
yeah.
driveway.
This
And
side.
it has to be set back enough to,
Yeah.
it can't interfere with
View.
it really can't be in the road commission easement,
Right.
basically, so.
So this side and then this coming down the north side of the parking lot is staying grass. Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, for now, it's not
Yeah.
included in this proposal.
I didn't
yeah.
know. It-
And there's nothing for the front, like we have some invasive species here in the
Oh,
front.
in this very front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's nothing about that for now, so this is just a kind of limited,
Yeah.
limited to the back and a small rain garden. It's really more like a demonstration rain garden in
Yeah.
the front.
Yeah.
So we could do a flower garden or something.
So that's what I was gonna say,
That's
for
good.
getting rid of the
Excellent.
lawn. Like it'd be easy to strip that out, just to be flowers and then there's no mowing of it.
Yeah.
I did tell the clerk during our executive meeting today, when she told us that she probably wouldn't be here this evening, that she asked that it be noted that she is still opposed to any exceptions for chemicals. So
That's fair.
I wanted to.
Yeah, we're gonna have, I'm gonna, we'll talk about it when she's here, but I'm gonna be asking the board to be guided by the science.
Yeah.
And to make our decisions based on on science
Yeah.
and.
I just wanted to make sure I
Yeah.
fulfilled my duty of saying it to
Say,
everybody.
I just
today.
put a flower garden in my house. And it's 70 by 5, big old strip. And they did spray, they sprayed, they tilled, they fertilized, they planted, all in the same day. So it's not like it's high toxic. Well, this is for my flower garden, it's not for prairie. It's a wildflower garden. And so it's not as toxic as everybody. I mean, you're immediately planting, and that was 8 days ago, and we have little green things popping up already, so.
Well, it's just once
It's-
while you're setting up the ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's not that you're doing.
I think
bigger.
sometimes we have to use our science to improve our.
Any additional discussion? All right, we're now to Q&A and staff and committee reports. Fletcher has been very patient, so I'm going to call on him first for his report. We had already started talking a little bit about it, and then I'll go around the table and see if anyone else wants to highlight anything from their report.
Hi, Fletcher.
Hi, Fletcher.
Updates, the planning commission will be considering a conditional rezoning request in September. This has to be for Fisher's RV Park, including you to stay tuned for more information on that. Additionally, in your packet, you'll see amendments to the bed and breakfast ordinance that the planning commission recommended to this body. Please take some time to review that language and come back to the August meeting with any questions or concerns you may have. If this board decides to approve the ordinance, they can do so. However, they can also send it back to the planning commission if there's concerns. Additionally, I have left with you all information about the data center ordinance the planning commission has been reviewing over the past 6 months. I know it's a lot of information, so please take as much time as you want to review that and send me any questions or concerns you may have. Just a few hours ago, we also received additional information from OHM, Township's engineering firm. with some additional comments. All of that will be in the planning commission packet that'll be distributed tomorrow. But if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. I know gave you all a ton of information.
And I just want to clarify process too on, the bed and breakfast ordinance amendments. So this is the first touch in Fletcher's report. So if you have questions or any of those things at the next meeting in August, we'll have discussion and Fletcher will be able to answer those or take
We
stuff
could
back.
just send you our questions on the bed and breakfast.
And then we'll have the vote on it will happen in September.
Yeah.
For our third touch.
I brought Brad's pen.
Fletcher,
Thanks, Brad.
I was just curious as to whether there's any action with Hillside Acres. I didn't see it listed here. I remember seeing it before in your reports, so I just wondered if there's anything going on.
And by action, do you mean?
Well, permits, like I remember you saying, there's 15 permits that have been pulled or how many, the action that's going on. Yeah.
I could provide you all with an update tomorrow, once I get back into the office.
Okay.
What I do know is that all of the exterior lots have been sold and they're actively working on 5 to 6 houses at the moment. Just today, I gave a preliminary approval to a lot in Hillside Drive. What we've been doing is allowing temporary C of Os to be issued to houses that are deemed safe and habitable. But we're
What does that
taking it-
mean? What, I'm sorry about the acronym. I don't understand.
So
CMO.
a lot of these houses are being finalized, but
Mhm.
what remains is final grading in the grass installation. So instead of keeping people out of their homes, we're allowing them to move in with a performance guaranteed, a performance bond placed. So those remaining items are completed.
Laura, a C of A is a certificate of occupant or C of O.
Oh,
certificate
is
of
it,
occupancy.
okay,
I think that's what
the
you-
acronyms make
Yeah.
me.
So yeah, the certificate of
Uh,
occupancy, Chelsea Area Construction Agency will release those when they deem the houses to be finalized and safe for occupancy.
And is there a homeowners association there yet?
Not yet. There will be though.
When do you know when that gets established?
You know, I will take a look at the development agreement and see if there was a timeline in place. for
Okay.
these steps.
Curious about that.
Can I ask 2 quick questions if I could? The first one, is that true also in Lake Residential? In our lake, that people are getting occupancy before their lawns are in? Okay, because
That's-
I think there's been some dichotomy in the past that some people were not allowed to occupy houses until their full landscaping or their grass was in. And now there's houses that are built that people are living in where we're still living with dirt, which, no offense, is not great for lake because we have a bad runoff. We have a stormwater issue and all that dirt is just going, creating silt. So I question that for lake.
Excellent point. I have issued preliminary approvals to a handful of lake properties, with the condition that the silt fences remain up.
They're not. I'll send you the address. They're not, they're silt fences.
Please do.
They're not just up.
Without a association, neighborhood association in place,
There's
the
not.
township can't require somebody to install grass, but we can require lot stabilization,
Okay,
and that's typically done with grass.
okay.
So I suppose you could let a bunch of weeds grow and
Yeah.
native.
That would almost be better than
Stabilize.
just watching the dirt.
Yeah, but the grass isn't stable and can work quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. And then my other question was, I see on the violations, there's a short-term rental violation that seems to have been ongoing for the last few months. Is that just ongoing?
Yep, I am in touch with Foster Swift, had a
Okay.
person with that. with admin, they gave us, a template to use for enforcement, but I'm getting feedback from Foster Swift on how to
Okay.
proceed with this.
This isn't real, I enjoyed your report and I read it, but I didn't have any questions about it, but Ann Arbor Township, when there is a guest or somebody waiting to speak to the board, they propose to move those
Move 'em
items to
up.
the front of the agenda or as close to the front of the agenda as you can, after approval of the minutes and all that. And I just wanted to say, I always, as a person that would go and present to Ann Arbor Township, I always really appreciated that because it allowed me to get out of there pretty early and I would not be,
Sorry, Fletcher.
yeah. Same thing, future, if Fletcher or Sam or somebody comes,
That's a good point.
I would be, let's all make a mental note to propose.
I mean, to be fair, I did tell Fletcher that if he
Oh.
had like a dinner date or anything, he didn't have to come
Well,
today.
Well, then he.
But
Fletcher's spouse also works at a township who also has their meeting tonight.
Oh.
That will likely go along the
Oh.
webinar. So I'm just kidding. No, it's a very good.
Take care.
Note to self, because I didn't think of
Yes.
it when I saw Fletcher sitting
Yeah.
there and I wish I had, so.
It's a good note.
Yes,
So thank you for.
we'll do that in the future. And thank you for.
Remind us.
Thank you for removing the, I can't, it might have been trustee Abbott. Were you the one who caught the addresses last month?
We what?
The addresses in the code enforcement?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think.
So
that
now they're saying.
that was just a mistake, so they're
Yeah.
gone. So,
But they are in there for the police report.
Yeah, they are.
And some of that is like
Yeah, not good.
pretty delicate stuff.
so
Yeah.
I thought they weren't supposed to put the address.
It's saying
the fire removed it. Police, I'm not sure where these reports go
From-
either beyond
Like
us.
actually, I feel like we haven't gotten a police report in a long time anyway.
It's also.
But he's in there this month, and I saw the addresses.
That's because when we met with them, we said
Yeah.
that most of the time they don't meet our deadline. So.
And Sam could just do like she did on the resumes, or she puts a block
I
on
bet
the-
how-
on that PDF.
I'm just saying these may already be, I'm not sure
I'm sure they're all public record.
with the sheriff's office, a lot of times, because they say the block of and not the exact address,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Um,
They have a block of-
they report these to the newspaper to a lot. I don't think we're the only ones who get these reports, is what I'm saying. The fire department changed theirs because their system gave specific addresses. And so those have been removed. We did I actually got an email today from a resident asking that we also remove or redact them from public comment. So I haven't had time we can bring that, because they were listed in our minutes.
Oh, so when somebody stands up, says their address and we put those in the minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably not a bad idea.
So just I've got to look into it. I got to make sure that there are certain things we have to record for public comment. I don't think that there's anything that says we have to include it in the minutes, but
Yeah.
I just need to double check that, but just flagging that. Any other questions for Fletcher?
Go home.
Just real quick before I leave, with the enforcement table you guys see there, I expect the vast majority of them to be closed by August. The first two being the dangerous buildings, currently in progress, in our legal team is assisting with those two. The other active ones, I've been working with the property owners to resolve the issue and bring them back into compliance.
Thank you, Fletcher.
Nice. Yeah.
All right. Anyone else that needs to highlight items from their report? Just look around the table and see if anybody.
No.
No. Karen kind of mentioned this earlier. I did put it in my report. I will not be here at the next board meeting. I apologize. My family and I booked a European cruise that is over for the solar eclipse, which is one of the reasons it couldn't be changed. And we booked it before I was even elected. So I apologize that I won't be here, but I should say I apologize I won't be here, but I will be enjoying myself, I guess is the as I look out at Steve Birch, he knows how much I love vacationing. So
Thought next time.
yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, if only 3.5 years in advance or 2.5 years in advance, I would have known. That's the only thing I wanted to highlight for everybody. Lots of meetings and information in my report. All right. Now moving on to data and performance metrics. Were there any questions around the fire or sheriff's department activity reports? Okay, and we're on to our second call for public comment.
Fletcher left.
Fletcher left. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to other issues, comments, and concerns of board members and staff. Trustee Nolte.
Is it on the, to get bigger TVs farther back? It seems like I've been attending a lot of meetings lately in this room, and when we show stuff, people back there can't see it. And that stupid click share thing is a pain in the neck, is it not, Alicia?
Well, I was gonna
Yes.
get to that.
Yeah, we need a little upgrading here for ease of people just plugging in and going, and bigger screens midway. They just can't see presentations back there.
Maybe just move one of these to the back.
It's not currently, but when I start working on the next budget, I'm happy to. I had some with two-way communication as well.
Mhm.
I don't know how the board is going to address the people on Zoom other than these two TVs being turned in. And we will probably have to use the one behind us for the people in the. So I think we're going to have to make some technology upgrades in general.
I've been at a few other boardrooms lately, and their TVs are, 3 times our size, and they are positioned like 3 spots in the room. So
Yeah.
people way
Where
back
you're
can see,
sitting.
because you just can't see it. Some of our presentations, you just
Yeah, I agree.
see.
Anything else?
No.
Trustee Abbott.
I want to just shout out to our office manager, Sam Edwards. We had a very difficult time Saturday with that click share. It was like it grew 3 heads. And I had to call Sam, and I hate calling her after hours because that's her personal time. But she answered the phone, and I was able to put her on speaker and hand my cell phone to the gentleman from the Huron River Watershed Council to figure out how to get it to work with his computer, because we waited our way through getting it onto Sue Bates' computer, but then he had an Apple, and we just.
She got disconnected.
Yes, we had to disconnect her, try to get him, and then it was just a mess, and I feel like we need to find a solution for how people can, because we have multiple speakers at our coffee chats. So like we had three speakers at the one on Saturday, and it was a great presentation from each one, but we need more of a seamless to be able to hook
Connect.
people up for their presentations. And yeah, I agree that we should just pull this out and move it closer in. But I don't know how that we might have had to do it with both, because we had both
I
sides
think
of
we need
the
another set.
room had a lot of guests this time.
I'll have one other thing. Can we change that stupid wireless password? For God's sakes, it's so long. It's hard for people to connect.
So we
It's
didn't,
true, isn't
they
it?
didn't ask our guest speakers to use the guest network for the township building, because I don't find when I'm here that it is a reliable network. And you have to figure that a lot of people will enter a building, see the guest network, and immediately put their phone on it. So the bandwidth is probably part of the problem. So I needed our guest speakers to use the actual network that work employees use.
And it is the longest
It
password
is the
on
longest.
planet.
It's the most confusing
Yes.
password.
But kudos to Sam, because she went above and beyond, and I really appreciate that and wanted to give that shout out to her.
Thank you. Treasurer Metz.
No, I'm all set.
All right. Trustee Sanders.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Trustee Sikkema.
So we should have had a strategic, if we were going to stick on our quarterly schedule, we would have had a strategic planning update at this meeting, but there was a lot going on at this meeting. But I am going to ask that we do our a quick check-in next month at July and at the July meeting. And just a reminder, everybody's homework was to think about the committees that you serve on and to think about whether there are any strategic planning action steps that you wanted to add pursuant to your committee participation. So check your emails over the next few days or so, because I'll send a check-in email to everybody asking whether you want to add anything with a deadline, and then hopefully we can have a discussion item, Lonnie, even though you won't be here, about strategic planning at the next meeting. You're not allowed to, unfortunately. We can't participate from here by state statute.
Yeah. Janice, did you have anything? Okay. And I don't have anything extra this month. So with no further business, I will declare the meeting adjourned at 8:05.